You ever think to yourself, what do I need to be doing when I'm not in therapy or when I'm not like in some session of getting help mentally? I'm going to help you today. I'm going to give you some practical things you can do to help in between sessions. My name is Drew Koss. Welcome to the Black Man Black Health podcast. Now, when I first started therapy, something that I realized quickly was I don't see my therapist every day. I don't see my therapist every week. I see her once a month. So I thought to myself, what do we do in between those sessions so that I don't either digress or I just don't give up on what we're working towards? So usually your therapist may give you like some homework or something to do that helps you grow in the area that you're working on with them. But I'm going to give you some practical things that you can do that won't cost you any moolah, any money. Disclaimer, I am not a therapist. This is just me talking to help you guys out. So number one, this is one that I've always loved doing, and I never really made it something intentional to do outside of when I was mad. So the first one is journaling, right? Daily journaling. It can be 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, based on how long you want to do it. Now, I like to say use the journal where you actually are writing it versus using the computer. For me, I feel just using your pen and your pad, it just something flows totally different. I don't know if that's scientifically approved, but I like it that way. So I write about your thoughts, emotions, experiences. Like you're writing to process what you're feeling. This is really, really important because oftentimes we just wait until we go to the therapist to say what we've been feeling. I've been guilty of that, and I've learned that I can express and process some of these feelings on my own, and then I can do that also when I get to therapy. This is one I would say do this and don't be hard on yourself. Track your patterns. Like keep track of your triggers, your moods, your coping mechanisms. I would say if you want to, you can use like a mood tracker or app, or I honestly would just use like a pen and a pad again. Something that a therapist told me was write down what triggers you and write down what you do after. When I started doing that, I started realizing I would know when triggers are about to happen. I would know certain people trigger me, and I also would know based on if I was tired or rested when I would probably be triggered more than none, right? If I'm tired, I'm going to easily be triggered because I'm tired. So I can't blame that on somebody else. Or used to be around holidays, I would get triggered all the time. So I started writing down my triggers and realizing, what do I normally do when this happens? What do I need to do when this happens so that I'm not in this place of always being reactive? So I had to learn that. That helped me out a ton, like a ton, writing down triggers. So try that one out. So first one is journaling. Second one is tracking your patterns. Like, what do you do to cope? Do you go and fight? Do you run? For me, my coping mechanism used to be shut down. It used to be get away from me. I don't want to be around anybody. Shut the world out. That used to be my coping mechanism until I realized you cannot keep doing that because now you're bringing somebody else into your trauma, and that's not cool at all. So do you want to think about what are my triggers and then what are my coping mechanisms? A coping mechanism that I believe is super simple and cool is just some deep breathing, sitting down, or even you guys may have remembered, depending on how old you are, Ron Artest, aka Metal World Peace. He was in a basketball game and things got real heated. And if you know Ron Artest is from New York. Like he can bang. And his therapist told him before he reacted to lay on his back and I think count to like 30 deep breaths. So everything was starting to pop off and he was getting ready to fight, and he goes to the bench. Well, actually, he goes to the scoring table and he lays on his back to start counting. Now, people were like, yo, that's crazy. That's foolish. To me, I wasn't in therapy then, so I didn't know. But to him, that was a coping mechanism for him. That was him getting himself calm. He had been triggered, so now he's getting himself calm, and he laid down, he counted. Now, they they irritated him while he was doing that, and it led into a fight. So think of coping mechanisms that can work for you. Coloring is one. You can take a coloring book wherever you go. Um, Running is one. There's all sorts of ones, but I like to say think of ones that you can do immediately so you're not waiting a couple days to go and calm yourself down. Another one you could do is, if you have it with your therapist, is you can review the notes. I don't think every therapy session is telling you how bad you are, how much work you have to do. I think there's some parts also showing you how far you've come and the work that you are doing. Right? This is really, really good because often when we're going into healing journeys, we don't realize that we never take a break. We don't realize that there's no rest stop. And sometimes we don't just tell ourselves, hey, today I'm going to focus on how far I've come. Today I'm going to celebrate. I had to tell myself this tons of times, tons of times. My next one would be practice nurturing yourself. I don't want to use self-care, the word self-care, but I want to use practice taking care of yourself. Like this can be sleep, getting a little bit more sleep, some naps. This can be working out, exercise. And then the famous N word that we all sometimes struggle with, nutrition. Right? Your body is going to feel like how you treat it. If you treat it like crap or you treat it like a machine, it's going to feel like that. And that could be a trigger by itself. One way that I'm going to be caring for myself is taking time to meditate with candles. Now, I'm clueless when it comes to candles. I've never been into it. I've always seen them look good. But I want to create some environments where I sit, I meditate, and I smell the candles. So if you guys got candle recommendations and stuff like that, send them to me. Send them to me, okay? So that's a practice taking care of yourself or nurturing yourself. That's a hard one, right? That's a challenge because we're used to not taking care of ourselves. Let's just be honest, right? I always reference Batman. If you guys remember Batman, when he was Bruce Wayne, he would feel everything that he did the night before. Even as Batman, he would feel all the punches and stuff like that until he started taking care of himself. The next one would be schedule some you time, right? There are times, don't tell anybody this, there are times where I have a meeting and that meeting is just me. That meeting is for me to either relax, eat, or like just do something that I want to do. Why is that important? Why is that important, Joseph? If you don't make time for you, you are going to burn out. If you don't make time for you, you are going to start to resent people. It happens to the best of us. We all sometimes get caught up in the place of, I got to take care of everybody else. I got to take care of everything. And that's not what God has called you to do. He's not called you to be the caretaker of the world. That's his job. So schedule it. And I say schedule it because some people are the type of people who are like, if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't get done. So put yourself on the calendar. Put yourself on the calendar as if you are a boss, as if you are someone who holds a high position. Put yourself on the calendar. This is one for what you can do in between therapy sessions is breaking up your big goals. Anybody dreamer out there? Anybody have big vision? Usually people like that, we love it. Sometimes we get overwhelmed by having the big dream, the big vision, and then trying to work on all of it at the same time. You got to break it down into many chunks. You know, the famous saying that the journey of 1,000 steps is one step. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. I usually say to my people who get into any type of fitness, if you want to have a successful fitness journey, start with just one day. Start with just 10 minutes. Don't go for something long. So break up the goal. Why do we want to do that? Because we want to be meeting the goal and not trying to kill ourselves along the way. This is another one, right? I'm a big music fan, so I still like a little bit of gangster rap. I still love jazz music. I love gospel music, but some music, play some music sometime. Do some drawing. Art is good too. Take some time to do stuff like that. It doesn't have to be going to a museum, or it can be, but take some time where you sit there and you just learn to enjoy a moment. We mentioned journaling already. The last one I would probably say is connect with somebody else. try to connect with a person uh, that helps you feel rejuvenated. Connect with them, and if you can, schedule it out. Schedule it out where you meet this person once a month or something like that. I think human connection is so underrated, and I cannot tell you how I've been so horrible at times with it because I just literally would isolate. That's a different topic. I'll share a link to that in I'll share a link to that later. But connect with somebody with going through healing journeys and going through periods of times where you're not seeing your therapist. Try some of these tips. There are tons more. I'm sure if you Google them, you YouTube them, you'll see more. But I want to encourage you to try some of these ones because life will get hard. And sometimes life be lifing, y'all. Y'all don't want to like be honest, but life be lifing. Think about some of these tips, some of these goals, and try to implement them. So this is some things you can do in between therapy. As always, if you are a man, join us in our Facebook group where we discuss a lot of stuff. We help each other out. And if you need more help, right, I do sessions with men to help them clarify what are your spiritual, mental, and physical health goals. How do we help you get to them, and how do we give you a plan so that you can keep crushing life? Be good, guys. I'm out of here.